Yeah.
What is up, gang? Vince the Prince back here again for another Tuesday football Q&A. Injuries, waiver wire, trades, whatever you need, any type of advice for fantasy, I'm here for it. I see that Dizzle is already here and early. I guess I was a little bit late. You know, we usually go at 7, but was busy talking to AJ about life and stuff. But yeah, glad you're back, Dizzle. Yes, you missed out yesterday, but that's okay. We had some guys to cover in for you just a bit. But it wasn't the best game until the second half, so it took a while for everything to get going. But he says, was playing COD and officially ending things with the lady. No bad blood, though. Oh, wow. That usually there's a lot of bad blood, so you lucked out there, my guy. He says, just at different stages of life, we remain friendly and talk. Oh, yeah, you guys talk all right, Dizzle. I know that for sure. He says, "Do you have fantasy? Do you have a fantasy question though? Start 3, full PPR: McLaurin, Wilson, Reed, and Cup. Is this against me, Dizzle? If it's against me, I'm not going to answer this question. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the NSP Gold League here. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's see, week 9. Let's go to Dizzle's roster here. Well, lucky for you, Dizzle, it's not in that league, so we'll go ahead and." Says Vince, you dirty dog. No, yeah, but okay, so here for sure. This is not against me, so I will give you the best fantasy advice. He says, nah, not against you. I DGAF about that league. Sure, buddy, sure. So you're so ready to beat me. I'm assuming this is the league though where you are like 5-3 or 6-2 or something like that. So I will definitely help you out here just to get you there into the playoffs. Hopefully a first round bye, depending on your league. But McLaurin, Wilson, Reed, and Cup. For sure, I think I'm going to go with Cup. They're going against the Seahawks. I know that Cup and Nakua are going to have a game. I really am not hopeful about this this game, honestly. I hope that we can at least like cover against the spread. I don't know if we're even like not favored. I wouldn't even believe it if we were favored, but we'll see. I haven't checked up on those. But for Cup for sure, in my opinion. After that, I'm going to go with McLaurin. He's the hot guy right now. And after that, I mean, I want to go with Reed, but they're going up against the Lions. Lions do give up a lot of yards on defense, but Jordan Love is not there. So that's my biggest issue. I think that's why I'm going to go with Wilson. I have not looked up Reed's points with what's his name? Malik Willis. Yeah. But I know that it was not better than it was with Jordan Love. So I think I'm going to go with Wilson here. I think even though they are going up against, make sure I have this correct, the Houston Texans, I still think Garrett Wilson's going to be a factor there. So I'm going to go with McLaurin, Wilson, and Cup for sure. Just because Reed has to deal with Malik Willis, I don't know if they're going to be passing the ball too much or how accurate he's going to be to Reed. So it's going to have to be a lot of yak yards for Reed if he does actually pop off. He says, also bummed out. I dropped Tyron Tracy a little too early this season. Yeah, I have him in Dynasty. I'm going to hold on to him forever, as long as I can, until he's out of the league, basically, because he's looking good. His average per carry is nice. So hopefully we can keep that going. But we got Mondo here. He says, how about them Niners? Boo. Nah, yeah, they played good. Spoiler, I am in the middle of recording for the it always slips my mind. I don't know why. The power rankings, they are going to possibly move up for me. Still deciphering everything like that. But they had a quality win over the Cowboys. A needed win, in my opinion, because you guys don't want to hear from them Cowboys fans all year. So a needed win for sure. Let's see. He says 8-0, playing a 7-1 team. Nice. So yeah, you definitely need to put your best roster out there. I think Reed is just going to be the odd man out, in my opinion. It says Liam says, "Yo, what's up, Vince? How's it going, Liam? Thank you for joining in yesterday for the little amount of time that you did and posting your bets in the Discord. I believe you were there yesterday. I could just be seeing ghosts because we missed you so much, Liam. But yes, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Kizza, thank you for waiting as I get through some of these comments. And for those of you waiting for me to answer your comment right now, I will get to it as soon as possible. I just like being very thorough with everybody. Since I traded Brees Hall and Puka for Mixon, Thielen, and Alexander Madison. Jordan Mason replacement. Yeah, Jordan Mason. He's just not doing as great as you want him to. 18 man, and I lack depth. Whole team is on IR. Hopefully, they're going to be coming back soon for you. But Brees Hall, Puka for Mixon, Thielen, and Alexander Madison. You know, I don't hate this because Mixon is just a force. If this is a PPR league, he's even more of a force. But even if it's not, he's such a great running back. I think he will outproduce Hall the entire year. If you can get Thielen and Alexander Madison, I think it will benefit you. But again, I know Thielen has not been doing pretty much anything this season. He's had a few games where he's actually done well. But again, coming back from injury, we don't know how it's going to go, but now that Deontay Johnson is gone, he should be doing better because he should be the main focus, hopefully, for whoever's going to be quarterback there. And then Alexander Madison is carving out a role there for the Raiders. So I like this. I think Mixon is just the centerpiece for me. I'm trying to get as many people as I can who need fantasy help to get Mixon. He is going to help you win your league. So good trade there, in my opinion. Maybe you could possibly get a little bit better from somebody else, but if you're comfortable with that, just to get some depth on there, I think it's great. Brandon says, "What is good, Vince? What is good, my guys? Welcome back. Thank you guys for coming in here." It says, "Do you think I should upgrade from Tracy? He's my RB4 behind Monty, Jason, or Jonathan Taylor, and Kyron. Because my wide receivers are CD, Puka, Terry, McLovin, love that, and DK as my top with Jamo and Xavier Worthy. Tight end is Laporta and Hawk, which is eh. If anything, yeah, if you can trade, possibly, I think what I would do, honestly, in my opinion, I'm going to sell on DK at this point in time. I think he's going to be too much trouble for you with the way that our offense is playing. I would sell DK and I would sell also Tracy. Get a good wide receiver and try to target a team that has either Trey McBride or Bowers. I think those guys they are the most consistent tight ends in the league. More than 10 points every single game in a PPR league the past like 3 or 4 weeks. And then, of course, with the possibility of getting touchdowns and leading their team in targets, like both of them are pretty much, they are just the best tight ends, in my opinion. Yes, you can get a guy like Komet. You can get a guy like Laporta, or you can get a guy like Hawkinson who have the ability to go up for those big type games. But do you want a big type game and then a bust next week when you really need him? Or do you want a guy that's going to be consistent, going to get you the points that you know you deserve and need? So in my opinion, I would try to look after that. If you really want to improve in your team to be the championship caliber, I think you have the running back crew to do it. I think you have the starters of great wide receivers to do it as well. You just need that little bit more for the flex positions and, of course, upgrading your tight end position. So that's what I think, Tony Nelson. Thank you for coming back. Says Brandon Rogers, you were shocked when I showed you my team was 2-6. Now you see my frustration and luck lately. Yeah, man, sometimes it just happens. I mean, Dizzle also in the Gold League, as he's saying here. He says, how are the Jets' faves against Houston this week? Better believe we continue to ride. Nope. I'm going against the Jets. Houston riding that wave of going against the Jets all season long now. No more takebacks. I'm not going to give the Jets any life in those pick'ems for me. But yeah. But back to Brandon, yeah, it's just crazy, man. I feel the frustration for you. Just like Dizzle, he has a great team in the Gold League. I always bash on him saying his team sucks, but it's actually pretty decent. And he is also 2-6 in that league. I believe he just moved up to 3-5. But yeah, something like that. So just some teams have really bad luck against their matchups. But Dizzle also says, might join the live at some point. Ooh, I'm down. Yeah, Thursday Night Football is going to be cool. If you join, I will definitely be watching. I'm going to be watching anyways, but sometimes I tune out, watch the game myself or get stuff done on Thursday night to prep for Friday and all that stuff. But yeah, so we'll see. But Liam also says, I traded Tyreek Hill and Bateman for Connor, Ladd, and Judy in full PPR. Yeah, I know. AJ told me about that. I know that trades with AJ. He says, my team is Goff, Henry, Madison, Chubb, Raheem, T, Reed, McBride, and Kraft. Good trade or nah? Definitely, if you're getting Hill, I think he's going to be the rest of the season very good. Bateman, I hope he doesn't fall off oh no, actually you traded away Hill and Bateman. Oof, yeah. In my opinion, Connor will be consistent above 10 points most of the time. Ladd McConkey just had a great game. I think he can still continue to have good games, but not these great games. But hopefully he's figured something else out. Judy, I think he will benefit with what's his name? The quarterback. Sorry guys, it always happens to me. I just blink. Let me see. Jameis Winston. Jesus. Yeah, Jameis Winston, who's a dog. I think he's going to make the Browns better. So I think this is a trade that you can benefit from, especially with your team. You need some little holes to be filled here and there. But definitely, I would have wanted you to get another running back, possibly. I'm pretty sure AJ has a bunch of running backs. But with Chubb and Connor, I'm feeling like maybe, well, after Henry and Madison, of course, feeling like maybe you could have gotten some more quality running backs there. But again, if you have a plethora of wide receivers, you're going to put those guys in the flex. So I think there's some improvement that you could have made, but it's still not a bad trade. I think you guys kind of like go spread there with the amount of points because I think Bateman is going to fall off for sure now that Deontay Johnson is there. But Jets are not winning. Yeah, exactly. Tony Wilson says, what kind of players do you think a Tracy, Jamo, and Zaven Worthy package would get? So if you want to trade all of them to somebody who's very needy at the wide receiver, and then of course, a flex position for Tracy, or just a running back position for Tracy, I definitely probably for your roster. Let me go back and look at it. Yeah, if anything, you have to package in a tight end there. I would try to focus on somebody that has, of course, Brock Bowers, McBride, maybe even who else is doing pretty good. I mean, maybe Ingram. I think he will do pretty well the rest of the season. But if anything, I believe, yeah, just tight end has to be in there, my guy. Anybody that has Hunter Henry, possibly. But maybe even Kittle. I know Kittle is a top tight end this week or this year. I think he's the number one tight end in my opinion at this point in time. I don't know if that's what he is on Sleeper, but I know that he's been dealing with injuries. So again, if you don't want to trade for that guy, that's fine. But yeah, just improving your tight end position. You have to make sure you get some tight ends in there. But yeah, Brandon also says, why is everyone trading Breece Hall? It's just the Jets offense, man. I mean, you can't always rely on Breece Hall to have the game that he had this past week. So again, I think Breece Hall will be great, but I think there's more upside in other people to be more consistent because we don't know how the Jets are going to do week to week. It's just hard. And then especially with the Jets being in desperation mode, I feel like they might get away from Breece Hall and not use him to their best capabilities. Because when you're in desperation mode, you're fighting for your job. You're fighting for the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers is trying to lead this team how he wants to lead it. Again, Breece Hall will take the back burner there because, just got Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers wants to throw it deep. So he's going to do it from time to time. That means Breece Hall gets less carries in desperation mode. Let's see. Thursday night football game. Jets and Texans. Dizzle to live at some point. Yeah. I think you said that already. It says, Tony, that package could get you Najee. Najee is great. I mean, yeah, again, it's whatever you feel like you need. If you want to upgrade running backs, focus on guys who need wide receivers and get one of their running backs. You always have to look at your league. Everybody's league is different. Everybody drafts differently. So again, I can't give you like certain guys besides those tight ends to go after because that's really the only area I think you need to improve in. But Dizzle makes a great point here. You can get somebody as good as Najee is doing right now. And I think Najee will continue to be going because that offense doesn't change. The Steelers are set in their ways. They know what they're doing is going to win them games. So Najee will be continually going forward and getting these points. But Dizzle versus me on Thursday Night Football. Ooh, imagine. It says everybody hit the like button. And Brandon says nah for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe about the Jets. But Dizzle says Pat's potentially doing a little buying at the trade deadline. Sheesh. Well, they're getting some picks for sure. I mean, they traded away Josh Uche, so see what else they do. But he says, Dizzle, let's bet on Thursday's game. He says, what do you want to bet, Brandon? These guys are going to go crazy. It says $15, blah, 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 20, and we have a deal. Brandon says, deal. Brandon, didn't you lose $50 to Big Money Joe already? I think you should learn your lesson. Don't bet money. But he says, lockdown, GL King. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Liam says, thoughts on this bet for this week? Houston +2. I like that one. Dallas +2.5. Let me see. I'm going to pull up these games here. So that way I know for sure that I'm getting the correct teams in this one. So Houston +2 against the New York Jets. I think that's a great one. Dallas +2.5 against the Atlanta Falcons. I don't like that one. I think that the Falcons are going to beat the Dallas Cowboys by more than 3 points. That's just my opinion. I don't think Dallas is a good team. I think Atlanta is a good team. We saw what they did this past week against the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are also better than Dallas. Those offenses are just not what you expect from Dallas. CD is not doing the best, even though he had a good game. I just don't know if he's going to continue to get 13 receptions every game, especially against defense like Atlanta. I know you can say that the 49ers have a great defense, but they're not the best defense in the league. So that's just my opinion there. Ravens 9.5. I mean, against the Broncos, I don't know if they're going to be able to win by 10. You know what I mean? Bo Nix is actually playing pretty good. I don't know if I would take that one and, be like 100% sure. Chargers -2. They're going to be going against, let's see, can I even find them? Yeah, against the Browns. Ooh, that one's is troublesome too. The Chargers have a great defense, but the Browns just put up a bunch of points on the Ravens. Not saying the Ravens have a better defense than the Chargers, but the Browns are nobody to sleep on. It's a hard week, of course, as we've seen. It has been the past few weeks. But Bills -6. Who do the Bills play? The Dolphins. Oof, that's another one that I'm just skeptical on. It's going to be hard for me to choose these games. Washington. I think Washington will win by more than 4. Yeah, I'd take that one. Rams 1.5. I betting against my Seahawks here, so I'm not even going to talk about this one. But just know that the LA Rams are higher in my power rankings than the Seahawks this week. So if that's not what you want to hear, or if that's what you want to hear, take it as you will. But yeah, still riding with my Seahawks. Brandon says, yes, sir. Reed says, Gino or Herbert moving forward? I've asked Jay this question 4 times in TikTok. Hopefully he's gotten to you before me, as I'm pretty sure that you're going to keep spamming him. But you know that I'll get it to it right now. Gino, again, he's going to be passing for a lot of yards. He's trying to be in desperation mode every single game because we just somehow always get behind. Defense lets up some points. Offense can't capitalize. But then in trash time, Gino just goes nuclear. Third and fourth quarter, Gino finally finds a rhythm and he gets a lot of yards. I just wish he could do that the whole game and he'd be leading the passing yard game by 400 yards already instead of like 20, I think is what he's above Baker Mayfield with. But Herbert is also decent, but he just doesn't get a lot of touchdowns. I know this past game that he did because of what's his name? See, I mean, all these guys just like escape me all the time. McConkey. So in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be like that every single game. So I think I'm going to go with Gino. Again, I might be biased, but I just want to check out Herbert's stat line this past game, 24 points, but his average is 13 to 14 points. And again, this was against New Orleans. He's going to play tougher defenses like Cleveland, in my opinion, Baltimore, Cincinnati's, but Atlanta as well. So rest of the season, I think I'm going to go with Gino. He's proven that he can actually have some good numbers against some decent defenses. So I think I'm going to ride with him just because his average points are higher. He's more often going to get higher points, in my opinion. But all right, I'm going to start going through these comments a little quickly. I see we have a few here that I'm behind. 3 and 5, and we close to cracking top 6. Yep, that league is hard, man. He says, is Vince saying Dizzle is great entertainment? Faux show, you are great entertainment. It says, Vince struggling with them questions. No, not really. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you the correct information. Again, I always double check. I've looked at a lot of these players, but I can't look at all, pretty much 500 players that play every single week and know exactly what their fantasy points are. So again, it's just knowing off the top of your noggin, but I always want to make sure because I want to give you guys the best advice. I have the liberty to do that because I can take as long as I want on these YouTube videos. AJ does it on TikTok. It says AJ's always trading for running backs. Yeah, he loves running backs because they're just great trade bait. It says this one guy had 4 quarterbacks in my league. That is always the worst thing to do, to be honest. You think Otten is good to have? Yeah, for sure. If you can have Otten the rest of the season, I think you're going to be good. Even when Evans comes back, Otten's still going to have a spot. Now, Otten, when Evan comes back, Otten's not going to have the 24-point game like he did in PPR. But we still have a few weeks before Evans is going to be back. So against Kansas City and against San Francisco, I think he's going to have those close to 20-point games both weeks. But once they hit the bye week, Mike Evans should be back against the Giants. Even then, I think Cade Otton will still do pretty well the rest of the season. It says in a 10-man half PPR, I'm 6-2, second place. Should I make any changes? Love and Baker as the quarterbacks, CD, Terry, London, and Reed as the wide receivers. Running backs are Henry, Walker, and Jones. Tight end is Bowers, Likely, and Jonnu Smith. Love the tight end. I think Brock Bowers is going to be great rest of the season. As we've seen, Henry and Walker are going to be great rest of the season. I think Jones as well, as long as they can keep giving him the ball when they need to. Again, Reed's talked about that with Aaron Jones, that the teams that he's on, he's just never really getting the quality, snap percentage that he needs to get touches. So maybe if you want to trade Jones for somebody else, excuse me, a little burp there. But yeah, if you can go for somebody like maybe, let me look down my list here of guys. I like Tony Pollard, in my opinion. He's been very consistent all season. I think he will continue to be on that horrible offense. He's the only shining bright light there. I think also Stevenson is a guy to trade for again. I know people just kind of were I don't want him. But if he's your third or fourth running back there, depending on who you trade for him, I think that's great because week to week, you can put him in the flex. He's probably going to get you close to 15, 20 points in PPR leagues. And then, of course, if you want to go a little bit less, you don't want to trade anybody too much, I would go after guys like Nick Chubb. Najee Harris might be a little bit higher in that aspect, but guys like that are people that you should trade for to upgrade your running back room because it's always good to have running backs. Running backs are going to be dime a dozen, man. There's not too many out there that are going to make a difference, and those guys that I just said will probably get you more points than, Jones week to week. Brandon says, Reed, hop on and help Vince. Why do I need it? I don't need any help. Reed doesn't even like fantasy. He'll probably be like, yeah, I agree with Vince. So it's okay, man. It's okay. I'm fine. So it's Thursday Night Football, me and Dizzle to the live. If you want to, man, ask AJ and Reed and they'll see if they want you on there. This is for our bet. Yeah, that'd be good. It says, it's my day off. Reed, I would trade you Breece Hall. Reed says, no thanks. $20, not $50, LOL. Vince has taught me how to gamble my money. No, I have not. I have not taught you anything. Do not bring me into your gambling. I've just told you maybe don't do that bet. Maybe don't do that bet. But I have not told you how to spend your money. I'm doing dollar bets, so I bet dollars, not $20. Dallas making the comeback this season. I don't know. Or this week. I don't know about that. Yeah, Vince had last week's schedule for this week. Which one? What do you mean? I don't remember. I don't know what you're talking about. Falcons are not going to win because Algier is going to throw. But Algier's not even the starter, bro. What do you mean? Oh my gosh. I don't know what Brandon's talking about. He says, I bet that the Packers win by a field goal with 1 second. It's pretty good odds. They've done it the past 2 weeks, I believe. Jamo getting in news for wrong reasons. You know what that means, Laporta's targets. Well, Jamo should be coming back after this week. So I don't know if Laporta is actually going to, benefit from Jamo being out. We saw him do well this past week. But once Jamo comes back, I mean, I don't know if I really believe in Laporta to be great the rest of the season. He did well this time. But what's to say next week he doesn't go back and get 5 or 3 points? So that's my only thing with Laporta now. He's not the main target there. They got Jamo now, finally healthy. So Laporta's, now the fourth option, basically. It goes, of course, St. Brown, then it goes Jamo, in my opinion. Then it probably goes to one of the running backs, whoever's out there. They pass it more to them than they do to Sam Laporta, basically. So Sam Laporta is basically the fourth option there. Of course, they mix in a couple other guys at wide receiver for the Lions, but Again, I don't think Allen Robinson or Khalif Raymond are the next man up before Laporta, but even then, Laporta's not getting the touches you want. Brandon says, "Don't be a donkey and draft McConkey." Yeah, I don't know, man. I like McConkey, but he's more of a long-term thing. Like Dynasty, he will be good because later on he's going to be very effective when he has somebody else to take the heat off of him. He's not a wide receiver one. I think you put him in the slot or you put him at the wide receiver two position, and he's way better than he is right now. So maybe a year or two more once the Chargers get some more help out there in wide receiver position, and then McConkey will be better. Dizzle says, "I'm so mentally drained today. A coworker of mine asked me about a relationship, and I said we kind of ending things, and she went up to the girl's mom to ask about it. It literally started World War III at work today." Says the mom literally came down to her desk and was like, "Me and Chris really care about Kevin. Me and Chris really care about Paige. Whatever happens between them in their relationship is no one's business." Screaming at her in the office, my blood pressure was through the roof. Jeez, man, that sounds mentally draining for sure. Says, "Please explain to me why I can't swear on live. Like that is raw, uncut emotions." You can swear on live. It's just it's not good for like our viewership or whatever. Because whenever we post a video, whether it's live or recorded, YouTube will scan it, and if they see that there's explicit content, they hold it away from certain viewers. So if we usually don't have any bad words or any cuss words or anything like that, our video gets shown to more people than it would if we had those explicit words. That's the only reason. But again, it's not something that we're gonna be like, "Oh, you can never be on again because you said a cuss word," because we say them too. It's just an emotional thing. I know that. Brandon says, "What stood out about my team that you liked the most?" When I sent it, I recently traded Travis Kelce for Montgomery, and that was such a good trade for me because I needed a better running back. In my opinion, I mean, your team was just good, man. Again, in my opinion, I think that there are some areas where you could do better, but it's only because you are 2-6 at this point in time. Looking at it right now, too, you just have great wide receivers. You have Deebo Samuel, who is, injured or not. Basically, I think that's what's hurting you. Devontae Smith was injured or not injured. That's what's hurting you. And of course, you had Kelce that was hurting you as well before you had Otten. And then, of course, you didn't have Montgomery. So there's a lot of flipping back and forth that I can do here. But ultimately, it was just you weren't playing the right guys or you didn't have the right roster at the right time. That's why you are 2-6. But as of right now, if you had the roster that you have right now, I don't think you'd be 2-6. I think you'd be at least 4-4 at a minimum. But again, just the guys you drafted didn't work out. That's why you ended up losing games early and you weren't able to win. Fletcher Cox, what's up, man? Says, "Do I trade Deontay and Pickens for Garrett Wilson?" No. Mm-mm. Did you see how many targets Pickens had this past game? I know it was against the Giants, but Pickens is doing well. I mean, the past 2 weeks, him and Russell Wilson have been insane. If you want to trade Deontay for Garrett Wilson, I mean, go ahead. But I don't think you should trade with Pickens. I think you should keep him. I think he's going to be good the rest of the season, the way he's playing with Russell Wilson. So that's just my opinion, though. If you want Garrett Wilson, trade someone with Deontay, but not Pickens. So that's just my opinion. Kiza says, "Vince is an 18-man PPR. Yeah, I have no one in my flex. Who should I aim for in waivers to put there? I can put Tyler Algier there after my trade, giving Jennings away." I don't know, man. I've never been in an 18-man PPR. So again, I have no idea who's going to be on your free agent pool, to be honest. If anything, what I can do is I can go to the wide receiver and running back position, scroll down like 3 or 4 times, and then that's pretty much an accurate identification of who's going to be there for you. If Garendo is there for you from the San Francisco 49ers, I would do that. I think he's going to be getting a lot more playing time with the way that what's his name, Jordan Mason, has been just like awful. So if you can get Isaac Garendo from the 49ers, I think that's good. For at least running back purposes, let me scroll down a bit here for wide receivers. I think if you can possibly get maybe Robert Woods. I know that he's not playing right now. He played a little bit this past game. But now that we've seen that what's his name? Stephon Diggs is out. I think this week Robert Woods would be a good quality guy to have when Nico Collins is still not playing. He should be coming back in week 10 at the earliest. So Robert Woods might get a few games in here, there. But Van Jefferson's another guy. If he's not on a roster, he's only rostered in 2% of leagues in Sleeper. I think he's also a guy that's been consistently targeted by Russell Wilson. So that's some guys you can get there. I mean, those are guys that should possibly be on your waiver wire. Anybody else, I don't really know if there's anybody out there for you that's worth picking up at this point in time. But yeah, those are some guys that just come to mind after scrolling down a bit that should possibly be on your waiver wire in an 18-man league. But again, I could be totally wrong. Never been an 18-man, so I don't know where the waiver wire starts for you there. But he says, all right, now, Texans +2, Ravens money line. I like that one better. Cowboys, Falcons over 52 points. I don't know if they're going to score more than 52 points. That's a little bit crazy. Dolphins and Bills, yeah, I could see it going over 50 points. There's a world where I see that more times than not. Commanders winning by 3.5. Lions, Packers over 48.5. Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I think the Lions are going to put up a lot of points on the Packers for sure. Just don't know if the Packers are going to be putting up a lot of points with Malik Willis. But again, if they get the running game going, I think possibly that's basically the Lions' weakness. So I think if they do that, I think for sure that hits. But Vikings -5. Let's see. I kind of want to see. Vikings are playing against the Colts. Yeah, I could see that. I think they need a rebound game. I like that bet better than the last one. If anything, I might not put money on Cowboys and Falcons over 52. That's just me. I might go on the under there. So it's just two teams. I don't believe in the Cowboys to score that many points, and I don't think the Falcons are going to score more than 30. That's just me, though. I think they're going to run the ball more often because they're going to be up on the Cowboys. Because it says, I can also get Jalen Coker or Parker Washington. Oh, so, okay, that's where yours starts at, Parker Washington, basically. I did see him there. I mean, Parker Washington had some good targets this past week, 4 and 3. But yeah, man, I mean, it's gonna be slim pickings there for you if that's where it starts for you. I'm scrolling down here, possibly even like I want to say Scotty Miller because he got like 2 targets, but he just does not have any catches this season. But yeah, it's going to be very, very slim for you. Is Zach Pascal over there for you? I mean, he plays a little bit, but doesn't get anything. Is Mechie there for you? Is John Mechie the third out there for you? I mean, he's going to be getting a little bit more playing time within these next few weeks. Possibly having him there. But then again, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know what you're trying to look for as of points wise. So are you just looking for guys to have there for some depth purposes that could maybe end up playing soon? Because if that's the case, I don't really know if any of these guys are going to be playing for a long term. But that's just me. Again, and for some reason, I don't know why. I see like Mike Williams all the way down there. I guess he doesn't really play that much. But Brandon Rogers says they are going to throw Algier randomly like they always do. I mean, yeah, I think Algier will do great against the Cowboys defense. I don't really feel like the Cowboys defense is good. He says, Kizzle, what's good? He says, what's good, Brandon? He says, got offered DJ Moore for Deontay Johnson, full PPR. I would take that. I would take DJ Moore over Deontay Johnson. We just don't know how he's going to acclimate into that offense there for the Ravens. Full PPR redraft, do I take it? I would take DJ Moore. I think that offense is more friendly to him than the Ravens offense will be to Deontay Johnson. Because half the time they're going to be giving the rock to Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry takes over a game, and they're going to continue to feed him. So Deontay Johnson doesn't get as many targets. We've seen it with Zay Flowers. We've seen it with Rashad Bateman. It happens every week. That offense is just not primed to be a heavily passing team. So again, having 3 great receivers really benefits them, but I don't think they're going to change their offensive style. So I think DJ Moore fits in better with the play style over there for the Bears. But Pareko says, trade Njoku for Russ or Carr. I would trade for Russ. He says plus Komet in a Superflex league. Yeah, dude, if you can trade Njoku for Russ and Cole Komet, I would do that in a heartbeat. Njoku is doing well, but Komet has the possibility of also getting those types of points. Again, not as consistent, but you get Russ in there, Russell Wilson, I like it, especially if you need the help there for a quarterback. It says other current tight ends is Ferguson. Quarterbacks are Daniels, Richardson, and Jameis Winston. Dang, dude, you have so many quarterbacks there. In our super flex, I only have like 3 quarterbacks. In my opinion, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I think Anthony Richardson is not a quarterback to have on a roster, in my opinion. I had him in a roster because I drafted him. I dropped him back in week 5. I don't care. Again, I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback this season. They're already putting Joe Flacco above him for multiple reasons because he checked himself out, because he's not doing well, of course. Like, obviously, that deserves a sit. They should be running with him just to get through those woes earlier than not. They invested in this guy heavily, but they're just not going to do that. So I would just keep, of course, Daniels, of course, Jameis Winston, and if you can get Russ, I would keep him as well. So Dizzle says I'm not dropping hard R. Yeah, please don't. Says what's hard R? You don't want to know, Brandon. Don't ever say it either. Says also trade Neighbors for Devontae and Brian Robertson if I have Brees and Jaden Daniels already. So you want to trade for Neighbors, or are you going to trade Neighbors for Devontae and Brian Robinson? If you're getting Neighbors, I like it. If you're trading away Neighbors, no. Brian Robinson is doing well. Devontae is not. I really don't believe in any wide receiver from the Jets. Maybe Garrett Wilson, but I'm not going to believe in Devontae Adams until he shows me, and he hasn't shown me anything these past 2 games. So, yeah, it's my opinion there. I traded Josh Allen and Chase Brown for Baker and Rachaad White for a long-term playoff schedule. Thoughts? I love that. That's what I do too. That's why I'm a fan of having DJ Moore at this point in time. That's why I'm a fan of having DeAndre Swift, because anybody on the Bears, including Caleb Williams, has the easiest schedule going into these last few weeks before playoffs. So that's why I like everybody from the Bears there for playoff things. But yeah, Josh Allen, that's a hard trade, especially with Chase Brown getting Baker and Rachaad White. I think you could have gotten a little bit more for Josh Allen. But again, I mean, it's not a bad trade if you're trying to trade for easier schedule. Hard R, what's up, my neighborhood? You connected. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Or he offered Devontae and James Cook for Jettas. So again, if you're trading Jettas away, again, I don't even think I would like that. James Cook, he can go off. So if you need help at the running back position, which I'm assuming is what he's trying to like entice you with, I just don't like the downs for James Cook. Some games he's gonna get as low as 5 points, but he also has the ceiling of getting 28. He's done it twice this year. So if you're okay with that, if you're okay with 1 week him getting you 5 to 7 points, and then the possibility of getting you 28, go for it. I think this is good. Jay Jettas is just super consistent for me at the wide receiver position. And if you have Jay Jettas and Neighbors, I love that. I know Neighbors is going through some slums here because of his damn quarterback and, of course, Daniel Jones. But he's going to get it going. The New York Giants don't have a tough schedule the rest of the year. I mean, their next matchups are against Washington, who's not a good defense, and against Carolina Panthers, who's not a good defense. So I would try to keep Malik Neighbors. Yes, his schedule is a little bit harder in the playoff times against Baltimore and Atlanta, right before the championship where he faces Indy. And I think that's a great time to have him. Of course, it's going to be tough sledding in the divisional round, I guess you can call it, and then the semis, basically for our playoff brackets in fantasy in weeks 15, 16, and then, of course, championship in 17. But yeah, if you're looking at schedule purposes, I think that's great. I think who has a tough schedule is James Cook. I mean, again, it's going against the Rams or San Francisco, Rams, Detroit, New England, and the New York Jets going into that stretch there. I think he can put some quality points up, but those are tougher matchups. So I would want to keep Jay Jettas and Neighbors if those are your guys. Liam says, thoughts on Thielen moving forward with Deontay now gone? I mean, I think he's going to do well. He's going to get the focus turned back to him, but he is a year older. We saw him do, I believe he had 10 points this past week. Oh, actually, sorry, he's on IR. So he is ruled out for week 8. I don't see anything about him coming back. Yeah, as long as he returns, I think he has good upside because, of course, their wide receivers right now are Xavier Legette. We haven't really seen what we want to see from Xavier Legette on a week to week basis. Then again, I mean, the quarterback changes are just crazy. So Xavier Legette is just like literally the definition of roller coaster. Ready? 6 points. He's on the down right here. 19 points. 1 point. 11 points. 2 points. 13 points. Like literally, he is the definition of what a good roller coaster is. Now, you don't want a good roller coaster in fantasy. You want a boring roller coaster. You want a guy that's going like this, maybe a little bit of a hill down, a little bit of a hill up. You don't want a guy that's going to be down here and all of a sudden it goes back up here and then all of a sudden goes back down. It's going to make you throw up. Should make you throw up on a ride and should make you throw up in fantasy. So, in my opinion, you're looking for guys who are going to be consistent. Possibly Thielen has a better chance there in that bad offense. So, we'll see. It says, is Deontay worth it to get? Basically, just answered it right there. He says, Kiza says, I have Burrow Brees until Mixon trade. Jordan Mason, Jacoby Myers, Puka until the Adam Thielen grab. Noah Fant, Steelers, Fairbairn, 4-4. We don't talk about bench, no flex since Christian Kirk is on IR. Yeah, I mean, I would love for you to get Mixon. That's just what I would love. Again, if that takes away too much from your flex position, try to get Mixon and somebody else for what you're trading away. But if you pick up Adam Thielen, I think it's great because once he comes back, he is going to get targets. He's going to get catches. He could possibly end up getting some touchdowns randomly. But he's going to be a good guy to have in the flex, in my opinion, especially since you already have Jacoby and Puka out there. So I think it's not bad. I would try to trade away Jordan Mason if you could instead of what you're trading away. Let me make sure. Yeah, I just can't remember exactly who we were trading away. But yeah, and if anything, I'm not a believer in Jordan Mason going forward. I think he's going to be just injury riddled as we've seen. I think Isaac Garendo is going to take more of the carries because of those injuries. And then Christian McCaffrey could come back within the next 2 weeks. So I know that the 49ers have a bye week coming up. I think for sure after that bye week, Christian McCaffrey is most likely going to be healthy. So that's just what I think. Do with that what you will. K Dizzle says washed up 33-year-old. He is, but he was good last year. So he says, I know what it is, Dizzle. Is Deontay wide receiver 1? I don't think so. I think it still stays Zay Flowers. Deontay will mix it up here and there where he gets more points than Zay Flowers from week to week, but I don't think he's going to be a consistent wide receiver 1. He's great, but again, how great? We just don't know. He hasn't shown it with the Panthers. If you're a great wide receiver, you'll show it even on a bad team. And we didn't see that from Deontay. He says, I can trade James Cook, Garrett Wilson, and Jawan Jennings for CeeDee Lamb and Mike Evans. Should I do it? Do it, my guy. In my opinion, I just talked about this a little while ago. James Cook is like a little bit of a roller coaster. Again, not as bad, 28, but then down to 5 points, and then back to like 13, down to 2, and then back up to, again, 28. If you're okay with having James Cook like that as your pretty much wide running back 2 or maybe your flex guy, I don't know what your roster is. I'm great with CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to continue to get good targets. I don't know if it's going to be consistent like 13 targets a game, but he's going to be fed the ball now because they know they got to get him the ball in order for them to have a chance to win. Mike Evans, when he comes back, Godwin is out. Mike Evans is now the guy that we saw in week 1, week 2, where he was getting touchdowns galore like we had been used to seeing. Targets were decent, but again, I think he's going to be the main guy. I think this is a good trade. I would take it if you can handle losing James Cook at the running back position because you're not getting a running back. So it's up to you. Kizla says, good pull on Robert Woods. Yeah, I mean, if he's there for you, I think he could get a little bit of points. It's not going to be something to win you your league or anything like that. But if you just need those little bit amount of points in that flex in the 18-man league, I think it's good to have for the time being until, guys come back from IR or some other people get hurt, and you can pick up some other wide receivers that are going to be more consistent because they're going to get more playing time. We'll see. Again, Robert Woods has been on that team before. He didn't really do all that well, but he did get some, minimal points that you could use to win. So again, just go through every single matchup with all the players that are on the waiver wire there and see who's actually going to get playing time. Usually playing time equals like more opportunities for points. So just like weigh it there. That's how I do it. Brandon says, everybody drop a question. Yes, please. I love it. I love when I'm not caught up. So I see that I have like at least 20 more questions to go through. And that's where I want to be. So sorry if you guys have to wait a little bit, as I know I'm like 15 minutes or 14 minutes behind some of these questions, but I will get to your question and I will answer it. And as you can see here, I'm going into depth. So I'm giving you the best possible news and information that you need. So Dizzle says it's so Aaron Rodgers for the Jets to win this week and go on a run. Brandon funding my dinner Friday. I don't know, man. I think you're going to be giving Brandon at least 4 blizzards with those $20. So we'll see. He says, I'm going to win and then buy that Whataburger. Yeah, even then, he gets at least 2 meals at Whataburger. So you're funding his next 2 meals. Good job, Dizzle. You're doing great. Andrew Burwell, thank you for coming in, my guy. Hopefully you're still here. Hopefully you didn't leave. He says, yo, do I trade Hunt and Reed for Neighbors? I mean, I've heard some people say that Hunt is not going to be the running back late in the playoffs because, of course, Pacheco's going to come back. But again, that's if everything goes according to plan. Pacheco, in my opinion, I think they're going to use him more in their playoff run because the Kansas City Chiefs are making playoffs. I believe they're at like a 90-something% to make the playoffs at this point in time. Don't think they'll ever in a world lose out every single game unless like they get into a horrendous accident where a lot of starters get hurt. So I like Hunt. I also like Reed. But I like Neighbors and his production that he could possibly get. Again, I just don't like Daniel Jones. And if anything, I think I'm going to keep Hunt and Reed here. Neighbors sounds enticing, but I would want to wait until he's actually, getting quality points. This past game, they were just struggling to get him the ball, and it's just bad. He's even dropping passes too. So again, all the nerves are getting to him. All the frustration is getting to him. Hopefully they listen to him and get him the ball more. And then hopefully you can still make this trade next week after you see him have another quality week that you're, good to go with. It says my receivers are Monra, Tyreek, Higgins, Reed, and D-Hop. I think you're sitting pretty right now. Higgins is out for this past game, but he should be coming back this game, hopefully. So I think you're sitting pretty. Monra and Tyreek should carry you. I know Monra had a bad week, but he should rebound. Higgins as well. So Reed is as good as well to have in the flex position if you need another flex spot. He says also drop D-Hop for Tracy. I wouldn't mind that because, of course, D-Hop, I think he had like 2 points this past week. But again, he's new to the system, so you just give him some time. But Tracy's not a bad guy to have if you need some help at the running back or in the flex spot because he is very good. Running backs are Kyron, Cook, Hunt, Bucky, Irving. 12-man league. Thanks. Yeah. If anything, yeah, I like having Tracy more than I like having D-Hop, especially with the wide receivers you have. The only thing is that, again, Tracy and Bucky might never see the starting position for you. So it's just good to keep them away from other guys who possibly may need running back. So again, it's playing the keep away game. Mechie is there. I like Mechie. I think he'll have more opportunities to get the ball than Robert Woods. So again, do with that what you will. I think in a 18-man league, which is crazy, grabbing at any straw that's a possibility is good. I know Mechie gets more percentage of snaps played, but he doesn't really get any targets, which is the sad thing because they drafted him for him to get targets. So we'll see. Again, just look at it week to week. I'm pretty sure those guys are going to be there still next week. So just wait after this week, especially since Stephon Diggs just went down. Nico's not back. So they should carve out a role for somebody, and you should take advantage of that. Brandon says, I heard Chris Godwin requested a trade. I don't think so. He's not even going to be on a deal next year. That's why he was saying, "Is my career over?" Basically, because he's not tied to the Buccaneers after this year, I believe. I could be totally wrong though, so don't quote me. They are starting Flacco now. Yeah, they are. He says he's also on the Colts, so you can't blame him for being bad. I mean, the Colts actually have a decent wide receiver room. I mean, Pittman is not a guy who sucks. Josh Downs is not a guy who sucks. Alec Pierce is not a guy who sucks. So again, they have freaking Kyron Williams there too, or not? Sorry, Jonathan Taylor. There's their running back. The Colts do not suck. The guy who sucks is Anthony Richardson. So Tay Adams gonna have a 3 TD game 1 week. Yeah, but then the rest of the weeks, what is he going to get? Like 8 points? I mean, that's not a guy who I want to have. So trying to predict that is just like trying to win an 18-leg parlay bet. So that's just my opinion, though. I'm not a Devontae Adams guy. Pareko says, yeah, I traded Mahomes and Kyron for Daniels, Pollard, and Neighbors on Sunday. Jeez, what a freaking haul, man. I love that. Kyron Williams is great. Pollard is also good, though. So you're taking like a 7-point bump down there from Kyron to Pollard week to week, possibly, but you're getting Neighbors out of it. And you got freaking Jaden Daniels for Mahomes. I mean, that's a win-win. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is averaging 14, 15 points. Daniels is averaging 17 to 20 every week, if not more, depending if he gets a rushing touchdown. So love that. I think you won that heavily. It says also won by 0.3 last night, so hoping that the trade plus that miracle win turns the season around. I pretty much hope it does for you. I think it will, especially with those guys. Brandon Rogers says Thielen is washed. Never get him. Again, though, if you're in a deep league and you need to grasp at straws, I think Thielen is good to grasp at. So, of course, not in a 10-man, not an 8-man, not in a 12-man, but possibly maybe like you get into those 14-man leagues. Thielen's a good guy to get if he's not already on a roster. But Frizzle says, yo, what up? What's up, Frizzle? You've been giving some good quality advice there in our Discord. This is the best time for me. Down in the Discord, if you are not already in the Discord, go down to the link below, join. We talk about football, fantasy, everything. So if you want to talk, just go in there. Get in there and talk with us, man. Frizzle also gives great advice. He's one of our new fans, and I love him. He says, we drop in McMillan to pick up Xavier Legette. It's a possibility. I liked what McMillan did this week, though. Of course, when Evans comes back, it's not going to be like how he did this past game. Again, it wasn't breaking the bank, 9.2 points, but it was good quality stuff. So against Kansas City, he should be getting something similar. But once Evans comes back, of course, his production drops. So if you need that guy to actually start in your league, I think Xavier Legette is a guy to get. Again, it's just he's such a roller coaster. I said it earlier. 11 points, 2 points, 13 points, 4 points. Like, again, if you're okay with that week to week, that's totally fine with me for you to pick him up. He's good. He's good when he can be. Hopefully he's more consistent now because Deontay Johnson's not there. Brendan says, do you think the Dolphins will fire their head coach? No. I mean, I would not hire somebody who just lost their quarterback and had nobody behind him to play. So in my opinion, I think McDaniels is fine. I think he's not going to get fired. Trade Jones and Reed for DJ Moore and Najee. I got Najee and DJ. I would do that. I mean, Aaron Jones is great. Reed is great also. But again, he's a guy, like I said, I always use the analogy with the roller coaster. He's not as bad because he has good quality times where he's just very consistent. Week 3 to 6, he was very consistent. 10, 27, 13, and 14. But these past weeks, he hasn't looked like that guy. And this week, he might not have Jordan Love. So again, what is his quality average going to be? Is it going to be him getting 3 to 7 points, or is it going to be him getting 10 to 27 points? You know, that I'd rather have 10 to 27 points, but we don't know when that's going to return. He just hasn't been getting the quality targets like we're used to him getting. So do with that what you will. I think getting DJ Moore and Najee is great because those guys are going to be consistent, unlike Reed. KJ Frederick, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a while. He says, what's up, everyone? Better flex start. Deontay Johnson, if he plays, McMillan, or Javonte Williams, full PPR. Deontay Johnson's going to be in a new system, so they're going to try to integrate him the best that they can. Let me see who Javonte Williams plays against, and I'll give you that right now. I like him against Baltimore, to be honest. McMillan's going against Kansas City. I think that possibly Javonte Williams should be getting more points than Deontay Johnson. But again, I don't know. It's going to be hard to tell because we've seen some guys already play one game for their new teams and they just don't play very well, in my opinion. But it still has Deontay Johnson going against Denver. That's funny. They haven't updated that yet. But yeah, oh yeah, he is actually going to play Denver. I'm dumb. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, but Kansas City against Denver, they just have a tough defense. So, yeah, that I don't know. I don't know. Again, I think I just messed that up too because Deontay's going to the Ravens. But in my opinion, no, I'm good. Yeah. I don't know, dude. Everybody's tired on a Tuesday. Monday really got me drained, and now Tuesday's like my makeup day. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Javonte Williams over Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson will be my second, and then McMillan will be my third because he's going against Kansas City. There you go. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, that's my order. Pareko says I'm 3-5 now, but was so sure I was about to be 2-6. Second place in the league is 5-3, so I think I still have a decent shot for sure, man. I mean, I think there's 6 weeks left. If your playoffs start in week 15, so you have 6 weeks left to get everything rolling. You have week 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So you have 6 weeks to make up ground there. Second place is also 5-3, so really, you should be right up there to where 6th place is. I don't know how many teams make it to the playoffs for you. Usually it's 6, sometimes it's 4. So I don't know how your league works, but if it's 4, you have that extra week before you get into the playoffs, depending on how it's set up. So I think you're sitting pretty. Just keep doing what you're doing. I think the trades that you've made have really helped you. I wish people like that would trade with me, but our leagues are just stacked and everybody's stubborn to keep their guys, especially if you're trying to come back and try to beat them out of a playoff spot. But Dizzle says, just wanted to say all the fires at work today have officially been put out, and we laughing about it now. I love my work squad. Awesome, dude. I mean, it's always good to have a good environment to work in, especially with the people there, because really you spend more of your day at work than sometimes you do at home. So hopefully their environment is just as good as the environment here for NSP. But Brandon says, is Jacoby Myers, Cortland Sutton, not like the way he said that, Court and Sutton, or DJ Moore worth the pickup now that Diggs is out? If anything, again, I'm pretty assuming this is one of your 8-man leagues because these guys would not be available in a 10-man league. I would probably go with DJ Moore. Cortland Sutton is also doing pretty good because Bo Nix, I mean, he's my sleeper guy to win Rookie of the Year. I mean, again, try to take out week 7 for Cortland Sutton. I know he got 0 points. Again, that was an insane outlier when they played against New Orleans. I don't know what happened there. But he's decently consistent. I like him. But I think I like DJ Moore the rest of the season because I've talked about it earlier. Just for matchup sake, man. I mean, everything for him is green or orange, some orange in there. But the same thing for Swift. The Bears just have the easiest schedule for fantasy, in my opinion. So I like him. He has the possibility of getting, 27 points, and he's pretty spot on at getting double digits. Yeah, not these past 2 weeks. But again, when this offense is not targeting him, it's just a bad week. So as we've seen against Jacksonville and Washington, they didn't put up all that many points. So again, against Arizona, against New England, I think they should be putting up more quality points, and DJ Moore should benefit from that, in my opinion. But Sean Auguste, how's it going, man? He's saluting us. We salute you too, my bread. But he said, also, K Dizzle says, my phone is so cracked up, I'm starting to struggle to see my screen. iPhone 13 holding strong, might upgrade next September. Ooh, hold on strong, man. Get one of those little glass things so you don't cut yourself if you don't have one already. I don't want you to get a boo-boo, Mr. Dizzle. says just traded Tyron Tracy for Jalen Waddle. Oh my gosh. If this isn't a redraft league, that's awesome. I mean, Jalen Waddle should be getting more points as the season goes along. I know this past week, again, it wasn't what you wanted, but I think he will become more utilized. Hopefully, it's just not all Tyreek from here on out. But yeah, Jalen Waddle definitely has not been the guy that you want. But if you have too many running backs and Tyron Trace is never going to see your starting lineup, you might as well take the chance on Jalen Waddle and a high-powered passing offense. So Pareko says, should I offer Jameis and Waddle for Caleb Williams? I mean, I think I might just stick with Jameis. I mean, we saw the points that he put up this past week. I know they have a pretty tough schedule, the Browns, but he showed us that he can do it with even these guys that aren't even supposed to be starters in the league, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to search up their roster because, I mean, some of these guys like Tillman, I did not even know existed until Jameis Winston basically put them on the map this past week. So the roster there for them, bear with me here. Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, who we haven't heard about in ages, Cedric Tillman, I mean, Jamari Thrash, Jalen Darden. Those are the guys that Jameis Winston is going to be passing to in the wide receiver position. David Njoku, of course, we know who he is. We know who Nick Chubb is. So when he's putting up the points that he did, 23.56, at least in my league, 23 points, 22 points, whatever it is in your league, with those guys, I mean, I think he's worthy of being a starter in somebody's league. Caleb Williams is doing well himself, but as we saw this past week, 9 points. Again, he's had 4 games this past year, 7, 9, 11, and 9. That is not a guy who you want starting, especially against, tougher teams. Again, I said that they have the easiest schedule going forward, but they also have a lot of matchups against divisional rivals going into the playoffs. So again, if you trade away Jameis and you get Caleb Williams, you're going to start making your playoff run, or you're already getting into those playoff weeks. He goes against Green Bay in week 11, Minnesota week 12, Detroit week 13, San Francisco week 14, back to Minnesota in week 15, 16, he has Detroit again. A lot of divisional games where I think they're going to show him why the NFC North is a very dominant division. So again, I don't think Caleb Williams is a guy to trade for. I think the guys that he has in Swift, in DJ Moore, are going to be the guys that are going to benefit from this. Because, I mean, going against those guys is just tough for Caleb Williams. I think he's going to throw picks, but he's still going to make completions to his guys. Again, it's just not going to be Caleb Williams getting the points that you want in those games most of the time. I will say there's probably 1 or 2 games in there that he's going to do well, but the other games he's going to get clobbered, and he's going to cough up the ball, whether it's interceptions or fumbles. We've already seen it happen to him too many times this season. So yeah, I would keep Jameis and I would keep Waddle. I think they'll benefit you in the long run. Dizzle says, should Penny, my dog, be Stitch, Frog, or a cute pink sweater for Halloween? I would love to see Penny in a little frog costume. I think she would look cute, but I'd also love to see her in a little cute pink sweater. So whatever you choose, Dizzle, I think all of them are going to be cute just because it's Penny. So make sure you put it in the Discord because we'd love to see her. Dizzle says, who the F does Bobby Trees play football for these days? I thought the brother retired. He actually plays for the Texans, I believe. Let's go ahead and see who Robert Woods actually does play for. Yeah, he plays for the Texans. He actually played this past game against Indy. So, yep. He was just injured, so that's why he wasn't out there for the past 3-4 weeks. But yeah, so he's still there, man. He's still there. Says non-inflation only getting you 3 blizzies these days. For sure, man. I hate it. I remember when they used to be $2-3, bro. They were awesome back when we were kids. Loved it. But he says, and $20 for Whataburger gets you a meal and $5 left. Yeah, especially if you get the all-time favorites like the patty meal, the spicy, sweet and spicy sandwich, burger. I mean, even that new burger, I think it has such a long name, but it has the jalapeno fire burger or something like that. It's all right. I tried it, but it's not my favorite. Sweet and spicy is though. $20. I'm going to a fancy restaurant and feasting along with some cocoa margs. Oh my gosh. This I'll pay for it with the help of Brandon. Bobby Tree's back in Houston. Godwin is going to be a Patriot next year. Him and T. Higgins. Hopefully, I think they'll need the help, but I think they're going to try to draft more. I think they're going to try to build a good young offense for Drake May. That's what I think their best option is. But of course, you need those bridge guys. I think possibly T. Higgins or who else did you say? Godwin. I'd be surprised if they let Godwin go, man. I think after this miraculous season, the Buccaneers have shown so much faith with Mike Evans and keeping him around. Why break up that duel, man? I mean, I wouldn't. I would offer Godwin, even though he did just have a horrendous injury. Of course, I would offer him right after we know that he's going to get healthy again. So, again, we'll see, though. Free agency is crazy. But I think if he gets offered from the Buccaneers, I think he will go back with the Buccaneers, even if it's for less money, because he loves it there. He loves Baker. He loves Mike Evans. Dizzle says, I still believe in Reed as long as Love is the QB. Yeah, but again, Love has been getting hurt quite consistently. Again, I think Reed is good. I think he's going to continue to be good, but it's just when Jordan Love does not have the game that he needs or he gets injured, Reed just falls off. I mean, Malik Willis cannot hit him within a 10-yard radius, basically. So that sucks. And sometimes he doesn't even throw it to him. So I don't know. Jaden Reed is good, but again, he just needs love. Texans also is playing Monday Night Football. Nice. Love that. Monday. Okay, not bad. Frazil says, this guy in my league keeps shooting me offers for my Bijan, and I'm going to just shoot him back and offer Bijan for Lamar Jackson. A little crazy. I mean, that's not bad. If you can get Lamar, I think it's pretty good. Try to get something else, too. If he really wants Bijan, he's going to give up some good stuff for him. So try Lamar and maybe one of his bench players just to get something else in return as well. Possibly another running back to take the place of Bijan on the bench at least. But yeah, that's just what I think. If guys are pestering you, give them an offer they can't refuse because they really want him. But Dizzle says, you are tired, brother. Think about what I went through today. Yeah. I mean, I had an interview today. I have another interview tomorrow. So, again, still getting all those job offers in. So, it gets tiring sometimes, especially with everything else that I do. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day, go to Instacart to make some money until I actually get my contract locked down with a hospital that I love. And then, of course, I'm doing things throughout the day as well. Just, everybody gets tired. Vince making his money today. Yeah, I was. Especially on here, too. Better get paid for this. Dizzle says, Brandon, you got IG. Need to follow who I'm dealing with on live. I don't know if you're able... if you're ready for Papa Dizzle. Oh my gosh, it's a 10-man league. Sutton getting traded. You can always watch the vlogs. Yeah, I like Brandon's vlogs. They're fun. Winston is a gunslinger for show, man, for show. He says, can you link the channel? Can't get to it on mobile. I'm sure NSP will allow the link drop. Yeah, let me go ahead and link it. Are you talking about YouTube or are you talking about oh, sorry. Are you talking about Brandon? Yeah, Brandon. I think I have your link here too. Did you already drop it? Yeah, you did. Okay, you beat me to it. I was about to drop it for you. But yeah, really like Brandon's channel. Penny will be thrown up on the IG story for show. I saw her. I don't know if it was today or if it was yesterday, but I saw her. She's a little cutie. Love her. But the chicks love her and the likes roll in for sure. But yeah, there's Brandon Rogers' official YouTube videos and his channel there. Really like his stuff. He has some pretty good stuff on his vlogs. I like it. Dizzle says, what is hurt with love? His right his right poo-tang lip. Oh my gosh. Dizzle, you're funny. Or is it the left? It's probably both, With him nowadays, these guys just get hurt like a freaking bat out of hell, But Frazil says, how about Bijan and Murray for Lamar and Connor? I like that upgrade. I like Murray going up to Lamar because Lamar MVP season, man. I mean, the last time I had Lamar as a quarterback, he had his MVP season back then. So right now he's the number one quarterback. He's the number one player overall. If in fantasy, if you can get him, I would love that for you, Frizzle. But yeah, I would take that. I think Connor's also doing, pretty consistently. I'm gonna search him up because I don't have him in any leagues this year. Oh, spell his name wrong. James Conner. But yeah, he's doing pretty consistent. I like it. Only 2 games in single digits. The rest are above 14 points, which is what you want from a running back. And I believe Bijan has also been doing similar with a little bit higher ceiling. But if you're getting Lamar Jackson, you're regaining the points. So I'm pretty sure he wants Bijan because the past 3 weeks, he's been getting 25, 23, 23. So he's hitting his stride. But I like James Conner. You're losing about, 6 to 8 points there, but you're gaining it back with Lamar Jackson. So I think that's a good trade-off. I mean, you're getting the same amount of points, and Lamar Jackson has the opportunity to get more, and so does James Conner as the season goes along. Cardinals are looking better, so I think they're going to use him a little bit more. Yeah, yesterday with the blizzard. Yeah, that's when I saw her. She's so small. But Dizzle says, why do I not see the link? I don't think it made it on the public chat. Well, just search up Brandon Rogers Official as it is spelled there, Dizzle. I'll leave it up on the screen for a little bit for you as I wait for some more comments. This is the first time I actually get to some of these waiver wire pickups that I like to, go through. But yeah, this is the first time I'm able to do it. So again, I'm going to continue talking about Bo Nix as my quarterback. He's the number 9 quarterback overall, guys. Make sure you pick him up. You need to. I think you should finally have it up. I'm going to get to this next comment. But it says, keep Jake Ferguson or TJ Hawkinson. Why not both, my guy? Is it because you have to drop somebody? But keep them both if you can. The last is Go Ramlin. I think Ferguson is great. He's doing pretty consistently. He has some down weeks here and there. But TJ Hawkinson, once he gets back, I think he should be getting the targets that he needs to be relevant. But this is a screenshot of it, and then Nerfed, love the picture there. It says hello. It says, should I trade Malik Neighbors for Breece Hall? I think if you can get Breece Hall from Malik Neighbors, I think it's a pretty much lateral move. But if you need the help at the running back position, I think he's going to be a decent option the rest of the season. He could fall off here and there with some games, but he is the number 7 overall running back. So this is not a bad trade, especially with Malik Neighbors having that horrible guy, Daniel Jones, as his quarterback. Hopefully he will continue to get more points. But, of course, I don't think he's going to get back to his average of where he was getting 28, 23 before he got hurt with concussion. So I think this is a good trade-off, especially if you need help at the running back position. For Zosa, should I make him think he's getting a huge deal by throwing in some random player like Ricky or McMillan? Heck yeah, do it, man. If it locks you down to get Lamar Jackson and James Conner, I think it's worth it, especially if those guys on your bench are never going to hit your starting lineup unless there's like a bye week or something. Do it. I mean, if it can get your starting lineup better for the playoffs when nobody really has buys around that time, I think that's awesome. Says, is offering Jameis and Tank Dell too much for Geno as my second QB? Yes, it is, Pareko. I'm sorry to tell you that. But I think Jameis is going to have the same amount of points as Geno. And if you're giving Dell away as well to get Geno, I think you're doing too much. Tank Dell should be getting a little bit more targets as the season goes along. Stephon Diggs just got hurt. So Tank Dell, as of right now for next week, is the number 1 wide receiver. So I'm going to look up Tank Dell, his stats. I know have not been amazing, but this past week, as Stephon Diggs did go down, he got 13.5 points. Only got 4 targets, 4 receptions. But again, I mean, this was a tough game for the Texans when they were playing, going against the New York Giants next. Tank Dell might have a little bit of trouble against Sauce Gardner, but not because Sauce Gardner is good. It's because Sauce Gardner is going to be holding on to him, getting PI calls all day, so it's going to take away from Tank Dell's production. But I think keeping Tank Dell for those opportunities that he can give you is pretty good. Dizzle says, I'm fired up for Thursday Night Football. Me too. Can't wait to watch the Jets lose. Says it would be fun chopping it up with the boys for sure, man, for sure. But Frizzle says, okay, this is going to be super duper crazy. But what if I throw in Olave, Murray, and Bijan for Lamar and Connor? I think Olave you should keep, in my opinion. I would throw McMillan in there. I think you would possibly be giving up too much, in my opinion. You don't want to go overboard and give up too much just to lock it down. Usually, your first offer is the offer that they don't take, but then you can counter after that with Olave. But if he's able to take Murray, Bijan, and McMillan for Lamar and Connor, I think that's a good trade. So that's what I would do first. If he doesn't, then go ahead and you can offer Olave if you feel safe doing that. But drop the Vikings defense or Seahawks defense for Chris Olave for tomorrow's waiver wire. I would drop the Seahawks defense. This week, they're not going to do well against the Rams, in my opinion. We're not going to figure everything out in a 7-day span. We need a lot of help against the run. And with Kyron Williams coming to town, he's going to wreak havoc on us, which also makes us bring our linebackers up in the box, which also means that Cooper Kupp and Nakua are going to just score big on us. So it's going to be hard for us to win this game. If we do, I'd be very pleased. But I think it's going to be very tough. So our defense is not going to do well. Let's see. Dizzle here says, who is it? AJ and Reed arriving late after a little shoot, a little, stylish a shoot there. Yeah, it should be them. But I think AJ will be in and out, so it's mostly going to be with Reed. So definitely keep Reed company if you can. I think he would really appreciate that since AJ has some stuff to attend to on Thursday. So he will be in and out of streaming that day. But yeah, all right. Finally got to the bottom of these comments. Never mind. Brazil has one more. It says, is Leggett a good waiver wire pickup? If I already have McMillan and Ricky, plus I'm using my waiver priority to get Calvin Ridley. Good job. He says, thinking I should have leave Xavier Leggett alone. You can, if you want to get ahead of the game, you can get Xavier Leggett, especially if you're trading away McMillan. But I think I don't know how long it takes for your trades to get processed, whether it's 1 to 2 days. But if he does go for that and he does take McMillan or Ricky off your hands, definitely pick up Leggett. I think he's going to be a guy who's going to consistently get you around that 5 to 12 points. Because again, he is that roller coaster type of player. But hopefully, with Deontay Johnson leaving, he's less of a roller coaster. And he's more of a hilly type of player. So that's what you want. So yeah, I don't think it's bad. But let me get to some of these other quarterbacks that I want to talk about here for fantasy. But yeah, I want to also talk about Matthew Stafford. He's also a possible guy that could be going off week to week now that Puka and Cooper Kupp are back. Don't think it's going to be anything crazy. He's averaging about 14 points without them, sometimes lower than that. But with them this past week, I mean, he put up tremendous numbers. I think this week he will put up more tremendous numbers against the Seahawks. We're a bad passing defense. We're a bad running defense. So I think he will be getting some good quality points. I'm saying around like 18 to 20. But here we go. We got a comment here from Striggs. Thank you for coming in here. It says, what is your opinion on Lunchley? Who's Lunchley? It says, would you ever consider the fact that your all universe experiencing itself as an entity of infinite imagination and death is infinity melting into one? Yeah, sometimes you get into those deep thoughts, Striggs. So sometimes it does happen. But no, I don't think recently I have. Thank you for your comment. Love it. The last Gremlin says, as a Vikings fan, I hope you, as a Seahawks fan, destroy them for the face mask call at the end of the last week's Thursday Night Football game. I hope so too. Again, sometimes we just do good. We did really good against the Falcons, and then we just come out and just play like crap against the Bills in our home field, As we heard Gino say, it was just really bad. So it sounded like the Bills were actually taking over at least 50% of the stadium. So I believe it because when we went for the 49ers Seahawks game, it's a lot of 49ers fans on the away side. So happens, but right now we're going through some woes. I think we'll get back in a few years. We just need to do some quality drafting. Hopefully we can do that. But other than that, we'll see. Brazil says, I haven't started Murray in weeks, lol. Might start Winston over Murray again this week. I would do that. I think it's awesome. And I remember you saying that in the Discord about saying starting Jameis over Murray, and you had like a bunch of dots around there because you were worried about it. Now you're the smartest man alive, my guy. Do it again. But all right. I know he had a bad week as well, but I'm going to go on with quarterbacks here for waiver wire pickups. I think Drake May is still worthy of a pickup. He's going to go against Tennessee, who's historically bad. They just let the Lions put up 52 points on them. Of course, Jared Goff is a step ahead of Drake May at this point. He has more tenure. He has more accolades. He's just a better quarterback at this point in time. But with Drake May, what he's doing with what he has, as long as he gets back from his concussion and can play this week, I think he's a worthy guy of picking up. But if he doesn't, I still think he's a worthy guy to have on some rosters. He's only rostered in 26%, and he's averaging 20 points a game when he's healthy for the full game. This past week, he got hurt, only played 30% of the snaps, but in those 30%, he already had 11.52 points, guys. Rushing touchdown helped him there, but he's doing great. Pick him up if you need help at the quarterback position. I know there's a plethora of guys that you can pick up before him, but right now he's the number 31st quarterback, and he's only played 2.75 games, I guess you can call it, because he had 30% of the snaps in another game against the New York Jets earlier this season. But, I mean, he has a total of, let's count him here, 41 plus 13 is 54. He has 54 points in basically 2.5 games. That is amazing for a rookie to have. Going against Tennessee, Chicago, and the Rams the next 3 weeks, I think he has opportunities to get 20 points in each of those games. So get Drake May. But again, of course, as we've been talking about with a lot of you guys picking him up already, Jameis Winston needs to be on a roster. I mean, I love this guy, man. It's always fun just to see him and all the content that he creates because of his character and his just persona. It's so awesome. It's just a breath of fresh air with Jameis Winston in this league. He's such a positive guy. You know, he gives all the glory to God in the positions that he's put himself in, and he's put in because of the great God above. But he's been in the NFL 9 seasons already, and every season it just gets better and better. I hope we have 10 more years of Jameis Winston. I hope he becomes a full-time starter for the Browns, and hopefully he can save them from this Deshaun Watson debacle of the contract that they gave him. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully Jameis can find a home, whether that's with the Browns or that's with somebody else. But Dizzle says Jets, Jets. Yeah, they're going to lose, buddy. Sorry. He says, glad I'm the only one to have glad I only have to be a fan this year. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. I don't think you would survive if you were a Jets fan, my guy. It's kind of horrid over there. But you're going through it with the Patriots, too. So, not the best team. 2-6 for both of those teams. You just didn't have good luck picking good teams this year, did you? That's okay. My team sucks, too. We're 4-4. I wish we were higher. We should have been higher, in my opinion, but we just cannot capitalize on anything at all. Sucks. Oh, but Dizzle says, y'all know the sky isn't the limit if people are on the moon? Yeah, man. The Milky Way isn't even the limit if you're on the moon. Like, once you're in space, the limit is possible to get to. It's just growing faster than we can actually move, even at the speed of light. Dizzle says, Winston should have always been a starting quarterback. Agreed. If you talk to anybody on this podcast, me, Reed, or AJ, you can agree that what we've seen out of Jameis Winston, even if we're going back to his 30-30 season where he had 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, throwing 30 touchdowns is not an easy feat in this league. Not anymore, at least. I mean, not even more than 50% of quarterbacks in the league throw 30 touchdowns in the year. So, again, Jameis Winston deserves to be a starter. Way more than freaking, what's his face? I don't even want to say his name anymore. Freaking Deshaun Watson. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson should have a starting position before Deshaun Watson. And he's their third-string quarterback. So, there you go. That's what I think about Deshaun Watson. Dizzle says, Vince, I'm proud of you for passing your test. Best of luck on your job hunt. you will find a great hospital to call home. Yeah, man, I already have 3 offers from 3 different hospitals. I have my 4th one tomorrow. I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna get an offer there as well. So I had the phone interview today, and within 20 minutes, they were like, "Would you like to come over here to Kerrville? It's an hour drive away. We know that, but we would love for you to come see the facility and meet the people and know who you'd most likely be working with." So I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." So most likely can have a 4th one. I think this is the one that I might take, but we'll have to see. I'm gonna weigh all my options and give the hospital that I choose my decision on Friday. So most likely we'll be signing a contract next week. But Winston just loves to eat those dubs. Yeah, he does, man. I'm even gonna look into his organization. I know he has an organization. He's selling shirts that have the dub on them, and it has a bite taken out of one of the, I guess you can call them like one of the peaks on the W. So it's pretty cool. I want to buy one just to support Jameis Winston and his mission out there for his organization. I think it's great. So it's also a sick shirt. I like it. Dizzle says the GOAT Texan has the Cam Newton shoulder injury and a sad injury. Yeah, it is true. It is what's most likely going to kick him out of the league, but he's going to get kicked out of the league earning a dang buttload of money. So again, I don't think he should have gotten that big of a contract, especially not that much guaranteed. He hasn't even played a full season in the past 2 years combined. So again, they're just paying him so much money for nothing, and he sucks when he's on the field. Since Puka and Cup are back, Copper Coop, inside joke there. Says drop Sam Darnold for Matthew Stafford. I think that's safe. Sam Darnold has been getting, decent points. I won't say that he's, a guy you want at this point in time. That offense hasn't been getting very many points, in my opinion. He's ranked as the number 16 quarterback. Let's see what Stafford is ranked as. Matthew Stafford is ranked the 24th quarterback at this point in time. But that was with the majority of the season not having the studs. Basically, Puka Nacua was out since week 1, basically. Cooper Kupp was out since week 3, I believe, something like that, week 3 or 4. So again, we saw that reflect in his points there. But 25 points is more than Sam Darnold has gotten in any single game this year. So I think Matthew Stafford could go on a run here. Maybe not every single week he's going to get those 25 points, but he has the opportunity to do that, especially when Cooper Kupp becomes a lot more healthy. Puka Nacua is just young, so he was ready and, he's ready to blast off, man. He's a young guy. But Cooper Kupp needs a little bit more. I think this week will help Cooper Kupp get back to the form that he needs to be that number 1 option again. But Dizzle says the Texan is drippy. Drippy is dripping all his dang money everywhere because it's just, you can't even put it in his pockets, bro. It's too much. Too much money for some people to have, honestly. I don't know what they do with it. I don't know how they spend it all. But Frazil says, I'm a Texans fan, and holy moly, they have to be the most stressful 6-2 team. Yeah, I think almost all their wins and losses are within one scoring, either touchdown or field goal. So 1 possession games. It sucks, but majority of them are like that. I'm also a secondary Texans fan, as you can see here. They are my Texas team that I root for. Yeah, so I like them way more than freaking Cowboys. F the Cowboys. The GOAT Texan is drippy. He said it again. Texans are overrated, in my opinion. Jets will expose them as long as y'all don't expose Sauce Gardner's bum booty, all-pro fraud dude played at Cincy in college. Yeah. I mean, Cincinnati's not a bad college. He did play well in college. I'll give him that. But I don't think he's playing all that great in the NFL. I think even guys that were drafted after him in his draft are way better than him. Again, look at the tape. It'll speak for itself, in my opinion. Kyle Singer, what's up? What's up? He says, full PPR, pick 1. Dobbs, McMillan. I think I'm going to go Dobbs this week. We've seen Dobbs do well with Malik Willis, but we've also seen him do a lot better with Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love still has the opportunity to come back healthy, and if he does, I think Romeo Dobbs benefits from that. If not, I think he benefits either way with Malik Willis there. But McMillan is, in my opinion, going to be a consistent guy to get 9 to 10 points. So in my opinion, I think McMillan is just a guy who's a desperation guy to throw in. Dubs offers you more opportunity to get more points, more catches. He is basically the number one option there at this point in time. Reed has kind of fallen off, and Dontavian Wicks is just not an option whatsoever. Tucker Craft, I guess you could argue that he's the number one option, but again, some games he's just not. Uh, oh my gosh. I'm not going to read that first part because I respect it. Must be hiring baddies. I've seen those court hearings. Yep. He's going for the best and brightest over there for sure. Frizil says Ricky or McMillan rest of the season though. I'm tough. That's a tough one because of course Deebo Samuels is finally got back, but once Jawan Jennings comes back, I don't know how much Ricky Pearsall is going to play. But also once Mike Evans comes back, I don't know how much McMillan is going to get as well. This one's kind of tough. I think they're kind of equal here. Ricky had more points this past week. So again, I guess he has the upper hand by like 2 points in fantasy. But I think you would have to go to the schedule here. San Francisco has a tough schedule. I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, let me search up McMillan. I think the Buccaneers have a little bit of an easier schedule. Yeah, I think I'm correct there. Of course, Kansas City and San Francisco before their bye week, the next 2 weeks is kind of tough. But after that, Giants, Carolina, Las Vegas. Chargers is kind of tough. Dallas, Carolina, New Orleans after that. So I think Jalen McMillan, if he's able to stay in the starting lineup majority of the season, if he stays healthy, I think McMillan has rest of the season benefits. Pearsall is going to see a lot tougher stuff, and then he's going to drop down to the third option, in my opinion, once Jawan Jennings is healthy. And then, of course, once George Kittle gets over all these small little injuries here and there, I think Ricky Pearsall falls to be, the fourth option. So, in my opinion, I think McMillan has more value. 9 lives, Ricky. Well, he has 8 now because he used one of them. But Brazil says, I need to add depth to my running backs because all I have is Mixon, Bijan, and Bigsby. I mean, that's great to have. But of course, in my opinion, some guys that I've talked about in the past lives, this is the last question here, I'm going to get to it so I can show you. Guys who should be available for you are Rashawn Johnson. If he's not available for you, he's only owned in 22% of leagues. Of course, you can go after guys like Kamani Vidal. He's getting some playing time. And of course, if some people don't stay healthy, J.K. Dobbins, if he ever gets an injury again, like he did when he was with the the Ravens, he's next in line, Kamani Vidal. So he's a great guy to stash as well. In my opinion, Kendre Miller is also a guy to stash. We've seen how many injuries that freaking Alvin Kamara has had. He's playing with a broken hand and playing with broken ribs. I think Kendre Miller is the next guy up to share it with Jamal Williams. I don't think they'll give Kendre Miller the, starting job right out of the gate. But also, the only thing with Kendre Miller is that he is injury prone, so that's the only thing that stinks. But up after that, I mean, there's still guys that should be there for you. Antonio Gibson, Ezekiel Elliott. Those are guys that are not bad options. If those guys are not there for you, guys like McLaughlin who go off randomly, that could be good depth for you to have as a pop-in guy every now and then. But those are guys that I think for sure, Roshan and Kamani Vidal, I think those are some of the best handcuffs that should be out there. If somehow Blake Corum is out there too, that's a possibility, but he really does just not get too much playing time. I think he got some playing time this past week, so that's some benefit there. Yeah, he's getting more and more snaps here and there, but again, nothing over 20% of the snaps. So not really what you want from a guy to possibly throw in here and there. But again, I don't know who is on there. He said, sadly, all the ones that you mentioned are taken as you're in a deep 14-man league. Oh, okay. Got you. I thought you were in a 12-man. My bad, my guy. After that, if anything, I'd probably go after Audric Estime. He doesn't get a lot, but again, he gets like less than 1 point here and there. Is Kyle Juszczyk taken in your league? Sometimes he has the opportunity to go off for some decent points. If not, he gets you points here and there. So that's not a bad guy to have. Maybe even Abdullah. If Abdullah's on there, he still gets some snap percentage, so he could get you a few points here and there if you really need the depth. But really, you're just looking for guys that are going to be depth pieces. Is Isaac Garendo there for you? Yeah, McLaughlin there is the only one available. He's probably the best option for you because he does get more playing time than any of these guys that I'm mentioning. So if you want to get him, he gets some decent points. That's probably the next man up that I think. If Isaac Guerendo's there for you, or if Luke Key from Dallas is there too, he sometimes gets some points in there. But again, it's going to be slim pickings in a 14-man league. That's the only tough thing about it. If your guys that you drafted go down, it's really hard to have some backups. Dizzle says Celtics are 4-0, just dominating. Ooh. I think the Spurs might be playing right now at this point in time. If not, it's tomorrow. Cannot remember. This podcast takes up too much of my time, so hard to remember all these things. But yeah, I think we were 1-1 the last time I checked. Not so bad. But we played Houston twice. I don't really get that. For some reason, I thought it was like preseason or something because we played the Houston Rockets twice, but we'll see what happens. Dizzle says 14-man leagues, pick up Ben Jarvis, Green, Ellis, or Maurice Jones-Drew. Honestly, got the nostalgia on your team. Be awesome. Lenny Fournette or Dalvin Cook too. Jaleel stud and Javonte gets hurt. Yep, it is true. So Javonte does get hurt from time to time. So I'm surprised that Jaleel McLaughlin's still there for you, especially in a 14-man. I would think somebody would have him, but I guess they just dropped him randomly. But yeah, those are some guys that I think you should pick up in that area for running backs. I don't really see any upside from anybody else. Pirine, he might be getting some stuff here and there. So if he's there also, he gets from about like 3 to 5 points in this point in time because he gets some pass catching ability. So that's a benefit to have as well. But Dizzle says, I'm going to go to bed, Vince the Prince. All right, man. Have a good one. He says, it's been a long day, brother. Have a good night. Yeah, at least you got that work stuff figured out. So now it's just a laughing matter. But yeah, man, glad you're going to get some rest, get charged up for the rest of the week. Go hit it hard. But yeah, really, I mean, for Zill, that's really all the guys that I can really, with, conscious mind, tell you that I think they're going to be great. But really, you're just in slim pickings area, my guy. But yeah, Abdullah, like I said, Estime should be there. I mean, other guys, I really don't see anybody else worth it in this point in time. At least not in that 14-man league. But is for some possible reason, is like Cam Akers like there. I know he just got some playing time over there for the Vikings in past weeks, so maybe he'll get some. Again, Aaron Jones is also a guy who does get hurt quite often, so it's a good guy to stash. I'm just kind of looking through everybody here and off the top of my mind, trying to remember how many points they've been getting. I know what's his name, Dylan Laub is kind of out too, but again, the one time he got a carry, he had a fumble, so it is what it is. Dizzle says, yeah, but I still got the girl texting me. I try to kind of end the convo, and she keeps coming back. Confusion at an all-time high. Got my supply of gummies coming in tomorrow, though chewing that loud. All right, Dizzle, go to bed, my guy. Don't keep her dragging along, man. If you have to, sometimes you just got to be a little bit more confrontational. Don't be mean or anything, but just be like, hey, I think it'd be better for us to not text so much to kind of keep this going where we're just friends. Not so much texting like more than friends. I think we might be texting a little bit too much. You can reword that. I'm just giving some advice, but sometimes they just kind of clutch on to you, and they won't want to let go because they're like, oh, it's my friend Dizzle. Well, I mean, your name's not Dizzle, but we'll call you Dizzle. Keep your identity safe. But yeah, I mean, other than that, man, for Zoe, I don't really know too many other running backs that could possibly get you any points from week to week if you have to like throw them in randomly because of some injuries. But yeah, he says, yeah, let me throw it on Chat GPT. Yeah, man, they'll give you a way better worded response than I just did. But yeah, I mean, they call me Kev or KV. I like that. I'd call you my Valentine. That's what I'd call you. K Dizzle's my burner name. Yeah, I believe it. But alrighty, guys. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions, go ahead and put them in there. In the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to get off, just because I feel like questions haven't been coming in too often. So if you want some more questions later on and you miss me here before I get off, AJ is on TikTok. He's probably going insane. Let's check right now. He's got 54 people in there and climbing. So if you want to go see AJ, he's on the TikTok right now. But yeah, I'm going to be on here for maybe about 5 more minutes. Once I hit the 145 position, I will get off. But for those of you sticking around watching, I'm going to go through my favorite position, and that is tight end. Here we are in a 12-man league, and for some reason, Cole Kmet is on the waiver wire. It's probably because he's very roller coastery type guy, but he has the opportunity to get a lot of touchdowns here and there. One thing that is crazy to me is Hunter Henry is on the waiver wire. I would pick him up, but I believe that I already have two of the best tight ends in this league. I have Cade Otton, and then as my secondary guy, I have TJ Hawkinson. So I'm not going to pick up my boy Hunter Henry, but if he is available in your league, which he is only rostered in 42% of leagues, he needs to be on a roster, even if it's just for a flex position that you can put a tight end in as well. He is pretty consistent on getting some decent points these past 2 weeks, 13, 17, and 9.5. He's going against Tennessee and Chicago and the Rams the next 3 weeks. 2 out of 3 of those are pretty good matchups for him to get quality points. Other than that, I will continue to hammer this into people. Pick up Zach Ertz. Oh my goodness, why are you guys not picking him up? Past week, he has 10, 14, and 14.7. Again, he's going to go against a weak team this week in the New York Giants. Tough team against Pittsburgh and Philly the next 2 weeks. But he's shown us that he can get some quality points. He just put up 14.7 against a good Chicago defense. He is worth getting because, again, he gets a lot of targets, in my opinion, for a tight end. Again, those are my top 3 guys. If you need something else, if you're in a 14-man league like my guy Brazil, of course, you should probably try to pick up Taysom Hill. Again, he has the opportunity to get points some way, somehow. He just does it. And of course, I've been saying this for the past 3 weeks now. Pick up my boy, Uncle Disley. His name is Will Disley. He plays for the Chargers. Last week, he got 16 points. This past week, he got 9. He's getting targets, guys. The past week, he has 18 targets, 11 in week 7, 7 in week 8, 8 receptions in week 7, and 5 receptions in week 8. That is worth having as a guy to put in the flex if you really need him, especially in those deeper leagues. He's only rostered in 3%. If you're trying to look for a wide receiver, but somehow you can still put a tight end into your flex position, these guys are available. Tight ends are really not looked at. Everybody's like, oh, I'd rather get a wide receiver or running back. They're just more universal, I guess you could say. You can pop them in any position that I want, basically. But you can also do that with tight ends. They have 2 positions that they can possibly play, depending on how your league is set up. So these guys are worthy of being on a roster if you need the help in the flex spots. Other than that, I really wish that I could talk about Okonkwo more like we did last year, but Titans just don't utilize them like I want to. But yeah, I mean, other than that, some guys that pop off randomly, Foster Moreau, if you really need it in the deep league. Other than that, Calcaterra from the Eagles starting to get more playing time. I really like it, especially with Goddard out. The past 3 weeks, he's got 10.7, 1.5 and against the New York Giants, but 8.8 in this past week. So again, Calcaterra is there for those of you deep leagues. He is rostered in a big fat 0%, guys. As long as Goddard is out with this injury that he's been dealing with, Calcaterra will be getting some usage here and there. All of those points that he's gotten are without touchdowns. So possibly he might have carved the opportunity to get some receptions here and there, even when Goddard comes back. But if you need the help now, as long as he is injured, Calcaterra is the guy to be getting the ball to. But yeah, other than that, tight end position, week of tight ends, man. Tight end day, tight end, what's it called? Tight end university. Love that stuff. But yeah, This past weekend, it was awesome on tight end day. I loved it so much. Loved seeing all those tight ends get touchdowns. So hopefully, all these tight ends have carved out more opportunities from their team after this great week. So hopefully, tight ends become actually a staple point again. Earlier in the season, the first 5-6 weeks, tight ends were like, we don't want you guys, but now they're back. So yeah, try and get them. But let's see what Dizzle's been going on, as he usually stays 30 more minutes before he goes to sleep. He says, Vince, ASRB. It's like, I feel like he has underperformed this year. He has, man. And yeah, Calcaterra. I tried trading him this past, I think it was today, actually. It might have been yesterday or today. Tried trading him to AJ for, who was it? Let me see. Just going to search it up really fast to make sure. Yeah, I tried trading Keon Coleman, a second-round pick and a third-round pick in our Dynasty League to get Amon-Ra off of my roster because I wanted a little bit of a challenge. I'm in first place there. I'm 2 games ahead of the next person. So again, I want it to be a little bit more challenging. Like when I want to play Dynasty, I want to do it like as if I'm like being a GM. So I don't want to. I mean, I wouldn't mind winning the championship in the first year, but after that, like if I'm just like dominating, I mean, I don't really have to draft that well with rookies. I mean, I can draft well and still, continue to dominate and grow a dynasty if you say. But I just wanted to be a little bit tougher, so I was willing to trade away Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was, arguably by name my best wide receiver, but he wasn't performing like that from week to week. So Dill says, just wash my face and brush my teeth. Good job, man. Practicing safe hygiene. Love it. But yeah, so again, I mean, all these guys are kind of just off in the wind for me. Like in Dynasty, I want to make moves that make it fun, make it challenging. So that I was totally down to do that. He says ASRB hasn't been great this year, in my opinion. He's had some good games. He's scored I believe 20 points in 4 games out of the 8 games that he's played this year. So first week, 4.3, 22.9, 20.5, 20.78 in weeks 2 to 4. Week 5 was their bye. Week 6, 13.7. Week 7, 25.2. This past week, 8.7. But again, as a guy that you draft in the first round, of course, you want consistent 20 points, but you also want those 30-point games here and there. You spent a first-round pick on this guy, especially in Dynasty, like I spent a first-round pick on him. I would want him to get a little bit more. So, again, he is pretty consistent. But, yeah, I wish he was a little bit better like he was last year. When you look at his points last year, man, it's just like, oh, my gosh, I loved it. I loved it so, so much. But, yeah, this year is a little bit, more consistent, but a little bit underwhelming in getting those really big weeks that could help you win your fantasy week for sure. So really, I think this was the year to really draft a bunch of running backs in the first round instead of wide receivers. For some reason, wide receivers have just been, not it most of the time. Not going to show that other comment, Dizzle, but you do what you got to do on your own time. It says TDs have been saving some of his weeks. Yeah, for sure. I do agree, especially that 1 week. I think it was in week 6 or 7 when he had 13 points. I mean, I was so mad. I mean, I didn't think that he was going to get any points, and he got that last-second touchdown against Dallas, I believe, and he got 13.7 points, and I was like, oh, whew, thank goodness. And I won that week because of that. But, yeah, some of these weeks he's just not very consistent, and it's not even against hard teams. That's the thing. Against Dallas and Tennessee, he should be the prime suspect to be getting 20-plus points. So he should have 20-plus points in every single game this year. But against the Rams, against Dallas, against Tennessee, those are the games that he decides not to get 20 points. And against all the other teams who are tougher defenses, in my opinion, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Seattle, and Minnesota, he gets 20 points. So I guess it's during the hard games when you should start him. So coming up on this week against Green Bay, I'm starting him for sure because he's most likely can get 20 points against these tough defenses. But all right, Dizzle, laters, man, laters. Just love hearing me rant, I guess. He's just not getting the looks he used to. Exactly. He used to get so many receptions. It was awesome. him and Laporta, maybe it will turn around. I think next year, maybe towards the end of the season, it'll turn around. But next year, I think, is the year that they're actually going to get the receptions because, again, they're going to be integrated more into the system. They're not going to have Ben Johnson. I think he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere else. So the next coordinator or the next coach that gets moved up for the coordinator position within their organization is going to utilize Amon-Ra and Laporta more, in my opinion. So that's just what I think. But all right, guys, no more fantasy questions here. So I'm going to go ahead and clock off. This is Dizzle's last comment. It says Jamo getting locked up for off the field guys will be back. Yeah. So the Lions have a great offense. I can't wait for the trade that's looming because MCDC was jumping up like a little kid who just got his favorite candy, saying that his GM and his owner of the Lions are looking to make a big trade. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's just picks and they don't trade Amon-Ra St. Brown somewhere else for whoever they're trying to get. But I don't think that's going to happen. So should be a good trade. But all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in with me. Thank you for staying this long. If you are one of the 4 that has been staying around here, I really appreciate you. Appreciate you, Dizzle. Appreciate you, Frazil. Appreciate you, all the other people that have been here that I'm not saying. But I appreciate you guys, and thank you for coming in. Thank you for giving me questions to answer. Love talking about fantasy. Love talking about football. But mostly love interacting with you guys. Super fun. It's some of the highlights of my days. So thank you all for being here. And, of course, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And, of course, join our Discord if you want to talk football all day, all week, all year. We'll be there. Other than that, guys, as we always say here, keep on grinding.